Here we are. Finally.
Yes.
Finally. We have a studio. We're calling it Studio B.
Studio B.
Studio B. Because we have a studio over there called Studio A, right?
That's it.
That's as fancy as we can get.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, welcome to our show. This is Tennessee Wildcast, and this is our new inside studio. We got a lot of work still to do in it, but we have paint on it and a lot of extra drywall and lots of other stuff. This is Jason Harmon. I'm Doug Markham. Todd Mazoris right there. You can't see Todd, but we're going to get him on here eventually. We got to get Todd on here. And Betsy Woods is right over here. If we can do a wide out on her real quick. She's our boating education coordinator statewide. She does a great job. We'll get with her in just a minute with all that's going on. And if you do not wear your life jacket and you work for this agency, you will be told about it, right, Betsy?
If you're on camera, yes, without a life jacket.
I stay in trouble. I don't stay in trouble, but I got in trouble once anyway, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. I won't do that ever again. Betsy does a great job, and we'll be telling her.
I have mine on, Betsy.
All the time, 24/7. Hey, listen, we got a good show. Betsy is great with giving us information about what's going on with boating statewide. We've had some Q infusion lately. He had an accident here in Middle Tennessee involving the son of a country music singer, and all that stuff is sad, and we don't want to get into all that more than just to talk about what he had on and how it confused folks and what you need to look for when you buy a life jacket. Before we get there, we got a big day coming up August 5th I want to talk about. August 6th,
August 6th,
August the 6th.
The duck blind draws are coming up.
And they will be held over much of the state. They seem like they're mostly concentrated in Middle and West Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But a lot of East Tennesseans will drive over here for them. But they're August the 6th. They start at 7 a.m. If you have to go out there and register, the line opens at 7, closes at 10. And if you're not in line by 10, you don't get to draw. But there are many hundreds of public blinds, waterfowl blinds, that are offered on that day. Make sure you have your right licenses and permits, whatever it's needed. Look in the guide, because I don't have it sitting here in front of me, but look in your guide, your hunting guide, which happens to be
online now.
Online, that's right.
That's right.
Our hunting guide is online. It'll be out in hard copy paper pretty soon, but right now, today, you can go to tnwildlife.org, and you can look on the top of the banner.
It's the first slider on the banner.
There you go. Or you can go under 400s, and it'll be right there. It'll be the second or third one there, and it'll stay there, right, even when it comes off the banner. But you can find out a lot of information about what you need for all your hunting stuff. And always look at the guides or call us if you're not sure what you're supposed to have for these waterfowl blind drawings. Okay.
Right.
All right. You got anything else?
I don't believe so. Let's get on.
It's just hot.
Yeah, it's hot outside, and it's fishing time. It's boating time. So we're going to talk about life jackets.
Okay. Yep. Always. And the life jackets, even for you waterfowl hunters, I can remember through the years, Betsy, even a few waterfowl hunters having accidents and drowning on the water in the winter when the hypothermia is there. So it applies to everybody. Weren't wearing life jackets. I can remember several cases through the years. So
they do come in camouflage.
They do come in camouflage. Hear that? So there's no excuse for you not to have them. Betsy, let's talk about what happened the other day. This young man was out on Kentucky Lake in Humphreys County, and he went into the water, and initial reports from the press was that he was wearing a life jacket, and everybody, including me, thought, how could he stay underwater? Because that's what we were reporting. He didn't come back up. How could he stay underwater with a life jacket on? And what I learned through all this, talking with your enforcement folks upstairs, is that there are jackets that are legal, or there are vests that are legal in certain cases for the towing sports. And that person, as long as there's a wearable jacket on the boat, they can have something that's kind of like a wake vest that only has a few pounds of buoyancy, not certified it's not Coast Guard approved, but they can be wearing that. Is all that correct?
Yes. If you looked at this jacket and saw this person from afar, it would look like he had on a life jacket. You probably wouldn't have been able to tell. And I was stumped too when all that came in. And we started looking into it, and they make jackets for professional wakeboard people, and it's for competition. It's a competition vest, and that's what this particular person had on. Okay,
and if you opened up that vest, it wouldn't say Coast Guard approved. In fact, it would probably tell you not Coast Guard approved, correct?
Yeah, it will say not Coast Guard approved. This is not a life jacket. This will not float you. It might float you, it might not.
Okay. Well, let's get past, and let's do a little bit more. What is it, if you have this vest and then you have a regular life jacket, like you've brought a lot of them in today, and we want to show them the differences and talk about them, but what's the difference? A couple of pounds of buoyancy in these vests versus 30, 40, 50 pounds in a jacket?
I'm not sure of the technical stuff behind it, but it had polyurethane Is that right?
That sounds right to me.
2 mil
or
or 4 mil
neoprene.
neoprene. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, 4 mil and 6 mil and 2 mil, and those might float you a little bit. But I had a person tell me he's a swimmer, triathlon swimmer. He has some pants that are 4 mil. And he swims in those because he can't swim. He said a life jacket just slows him down. He said if he were to drown, you would find him with his legs up and his head down.
Okay.
He said he would be floating. He said if he sits there with these pants on and if he sits there in the water, it might float him up to about the ridge of his nose. So they have a little flotation in them, but not a whole lot.
Okay. And
that
90
was 4 mil. So, some of them make 2 mil.
really get thin.
Yes, right.
All right. Well, 90-something% of you will never have that. That's the when you're being towed. I mean, a lot of people are towed in tubes, and this was a tubing accident, and they wakeboard, and they also ski and whatever else there. So there's the areas where I think I'm understanding that would be legal with a wearable jacket in the boat. But most of us are fishermen or we're just out recreation and around in our boats. So we still got to have those Coast Guard approved, right? All the time. We can't wear that thin thing.
No, you have to have a Coast Guard approved one.
Okay. And tell us more about Coast Guard approved. Tell us where you can find it. If you're looking for it on your jacket, you want to protect your children, where you're going to find this Coast Guard approval.
You just look inside the jacket. There'll be a label either sewn in or stamped in, and it's a U.S. Coast Guard approved.
Are there two, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot too. I say 90%. A lot of people ski. I don't want to underrate that. A lot of people do ski and they do wakeboarding, but do a lot of them? Are you aware whether they wear these kind of vests or do they still wear Coast Guard approved, or can they?
I see a lot of them wear wetsuits, and so I don't know much about them. I don't know if they're probably, I don't know if they're Coast Guard approved or how much flotation they have. But in our law, it says an adequate flotation device, which I guess a ski belt would. Remember those ski belts?
Sure do.
You're that old. You used to ski with those. Yeah,
Yep.
When you were young and sassy.
Correct. Yeah. So, but I wouldn't now.
But of course, we always recommend that you wear a Coast Guard approved life jacket. They have the buoyancy that will float you.
That's all I've ever heard you say, really, is Coast Guard approved since I've been here, since I've been working with you, and that's the safe thing to look for. And it surprised me a little bit as the news broke about this young guy, how many folks didn't seem to know about Coast Guard approved as much as we talk about it. You talk about it. You went to an event today where I'm sure you talked about it. So it's just educating until we can't educate no more, right?
Yeah, I mean, who reads a label on a life jacket?
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't looked at the stores lately, but there used to be some life jackets that look like a Coast Guard approved life jacket, but they're not. And they sell them in some of these big box stores, and I haven't looked in several years at that. But especially if you have a child or anybody, you just need to look for a Coast Guard approval on the label. And it's very obvious, too.
Todd's got it up behind us. We can see it right there. And that's what you look for. Usually, Betsy, it's either inside the jacket or those old orange ones. Well, new orange ones. You can flip them over and it's on the back usually, right?
Sometimes, yeah. It's either stamped on there or sewn in there. You'll see it.
But you'll find it.
Right.
On there all the time. All right. Well, I hate what happened over there. I think it's probably educated a lot of folks. And as sad as the case is, it's happened here. I hope a lot of folks are learning from it. Betsy, how many people do we have boating in Tennessee?
There are around 270-something thousand registered boats.
Okay. And then we have, I don't know, maybe 28 lakes across the state, big lakes, public lakes. I won't hold you to that, but we're around that. And
we are.
And does that make us one of the most boated states in the country?
It does. We're generally ranked between 15th and 20th in the nation for the number of equipment that's sold, boating-related equipment.
And that's with counting all the states that have all the big
correct
Gulfs and oceans around them, right?
Correct.
So that's pretty good for an inland state. And I understand that two of the lakes in the mid-state, it's Percy, Priest, and Old Hickory, are usually in the top 10 boated in the country.
They're top 10 most visited lakes on the Corps of Engineers system.
On the Corps of Engineers system.
Right.
Okay, that's
and
a lot of people.
They think a lot of that is because it's proximity to Nashville. So there's so much to do in Nashville. And you know how Nashville has exploded.
Yeah. All right. The man sitting right next to me has a son that's, 4 years old or 5?
He's 4.5.
He's 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
We got a call the other day from a young lady who had a daughter, I think that's 2 years old, and we want kids to understand to wear life jackets forever. And so you start them out early, and you can tell it's a mandatory law there. But are there jackets being made for these kids these days that will keep them safe on the water?
There's a life jacket they make now. It's for, I forget what the weight is, but that's important too. When you put a life jacket on a child, you want to see what you got to read the label and see what the weight of that child is, if that life jacket will fit them. But there's a life jacket called puddle jumpers, and it slips on their arms and then it goes across their chest and it snaps in the back. And they're excellent life jackets. They're really good ones. They're good.
Okay, all right. And you can say we got a bunch of jackets here today. That's not one of them that we have, but they're also making them for different size people, right? They're also making them for men, for women, of course, kids and toddlers. What's going on since you started that's different in the industry with that? What are they trying to do?
If you look at the life jackets, historically, we'll have a Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and a throwable Type 4 and Type 5. All the type codes have gone away as of last fall.
So what they're seeing behind us is going away.
Well, the life jackets are not going away.
Right.
It's just the Type 1, and they're going to change it. They are either wearable devices, throwable devices, or inflatable devices. And the labels are going to start changing. We're making it internationally acceptable all over the world, the life jackets. Instead of just UL approved, that's all the United States does that. So kind of harmonizing the life jackets, I guess, is what we're saying we're doing. And the types are going away. They're going to be wearable, and they're going to be used in accordance with what the label says. So they're working on icons, internationally recognized icons now. For instance, it might have a canoe with a slash through it. That means it's not used. You can't canoe with it, that type of thing. So they're working on that right now, but you'll still see the types in the stores until they're totally gone. You'll still have them in your boat until they tear or rip and you can't use them anymore. And even if you have the new ones or those Type 1 and 2, the most important thing to know is just look at the label, and that will tell you what use it's for. And then you're going to be fine. I just don't want to confuse the public.
You were showing us earlier, though, the inside one of those life jackets, it said specifically for canoeing, paddling, and
sailing.
And sailing, okay. Show that one so folks can see that.
Okay.
This life jacket right here. So
that's the best shot there for you, Jason.
Yeah, that works.
All right.
Okay, so you open this up, and the label's over here, right here, and it says adult women's medium large. Sorry. Adult medium users large is Coast Guard approved. Intended use: canoeing, kayaking, and sailing. So that's this jacket right here.
Okay, and that one is made for a woman. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's made for a woman.
All right. So inside there you can see, and then also show us an inflatable real quick, unless you had something else in mind there, Betsy. All right.
This is an inflatable life jacket. Turn it over. You see the Coast Guard approved label right here.
Hold it up just a little bit higher so those folks can see it. Awesome.
And then on the label, it says not approved for hot work. I don't know what that means, but that's what it says. Not approved for use on personal watercraft, for whitewater paddling, or for water skiing, kneeboarding, or similar towed uses. So,
well, I mean, that makes sense to me. I wear an inflatable all the time, most all the time. And if you fall in the water with some of them, 4 inches of pressure go off. So if you're doing that towing sport or some of the other things, chances are you're going to go in the water right away, right?
yeah, and that's true. And then something might hit them in the chamber that's inflated, and the air might go out.
Okay.
We have our own rules and regs among our law enforcement people. You know, we don't let them wear inflatables under certain conditions.
Right.
They're okay. It doesn't say on the label that they can't, but just in our experience, some things that have happened in the past that we, don't recommend that they wear inflatables under certain conditions.
Added safety for our officers.
Correct.
Or folks working on the water.
Okay. All right. And then we don't have a kid's jacket here, but you have the younger kid's jacket here. Don't you have a small one that's got some tape on it? Or
I do, yes.
okay.
This is a child's, it's an old Type 1 jacket is what it was. Now it's just a child's wearable life jacket, but inside is the Coast Guard label. And this is an offshore life jacket. And it says U.S. Coast Guard approved. And what this jacket is, let's say offshore life jacket. This jacket is thicker than the little the other orange ones that you buy for like $6 at the store. This one's a little bit different. It has more flotation in it, and it's made for on the ocean, and it has these reflectors on it. So if you get thrown out of the boat, these reflectors will help any rescue people see you, any rescue personnel. This will also float you face up if you happen to fall off the boat and you're unconscious. This will automatically turn you over on your back and float you face up.
That's a good jacket right there. It may not be the prettiest jacket in the world, but it'll save your life. And it's not a very expensive jacket. And I want to get into cost a little bit. I know the original orange ones, $6-8 at your big box stores. Up to $300 or $400 for the really good inflatable jackets, and a lot of stuff in between.
Yes, this particular one, the offshore, I'm not exactly sure what they cost. They're bulky, so I'm sure they're
a little more expensive
than the $6 ones. But and you don't see a lot of these in Tennessee because they are offshore.
I bought one the other day, mostly to demonstrate when the press was asking so many questions about it, and I bought it for $29, and it was a great jacket. Snaps in about 4 spots, so
right.
If you hit that water, it's not going to come off of you. Coast Guard approved, great looking, and it just was not very much money at all, and that's getting more and more common through the times.
Yes, like you say, you can start out at $6 and go up to $300. The little puddle jumper we were talking about for the kids, I saw them on sale a couple weeks ago for $11.99. I think they're normally like $24 or something like that.
Okay.
Good little jackets.
And you have a couple of grandchildren, and they're wearing those, right?
They are, yes.
And this is our boating educator, so she's putting her children and her grandchildren in it. So,
and they're kind of fun because you have all kinds of characters on them, and that's always interesting for the kids. So.
Betsy, how many accidents have we had that have caused deaths this year, last year, and the year before? About
this year, unfortunately, we're sitting on 13 fatalities. Last year we had, 14, and the year before that there were 17, something like that. Before that, our average was 22 or 23 a year pretty consistently. So hopefully we'll continue this downward trend. But for the most part, the majority of them drowned and were not wearing life jackets.
And I feel like, and I know we may not have numbers on that, but when I'm talking about boating, I always use a number like 80-85% that I think would be alive. Through the years that I've been here, is a long time now, that if they'd been wearing a jacket, they didn't die because of a collision. Mostly they died because they drowned. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Do we know the numbers exactly?
Well, for instance, last year, we haven't really looked at the accident reports, but last year I did. On the 14 fatalities we had, and looking at the accidents and what happened, we think that 9 of those people would probably still be with us.
That how many?
9
out
of the 14.
Okay, all right.
If they had been wearing a life jacket.
All right, and through the course of history, you feel like it's been about like that?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I just know that the ones where I've gone out and stood on the bank watching the officers work or the boating investigators work or riding around with them sometime, most of them would have resulted in them living. And 100% of the time, it would have resulted in them floating on the surface so their family didn't have to stand on the bank and wait on them. Now, there's other things that happen, strokes or heart attacks or things that we have to find out later. But the point is, if you have this jacket on, you're on the surface.
Correct. We still have that family that still hasn't found their member that early in April, I believe.
We do. We have one on Percy Priest that's still, and that's got to be grueling to folks.
It's horrible,
to be waiting on your family member. It's been missing for a long time. So anyway, what about boater education? This is your baby. Boater education you helped get it going some years back. You and our director, Ed Carter, who was boating chief back then.
Correct.
And maybe even my wife, Diane, helped you a little bit back then. I don't know. But But tell me about boating education. How many folks have you talked to and are helped certify through the years, and what's the requirements?
If you're born after January 1st, 1989, you have to have the certificate. You have to pass our exam successfully. You get a certificate to carry on the boat, a wallet card to carry with you as proof of successful completion of an exam. We have monitored exams, so you do have to go someplace and somebody has to administer the exam to you. We don't necessarily require a course, a classroom course. However, we do teach them throughout the state. But you can challenge the test, and if you want, and good luck with that. But we generally educate or certify around 7,000 students a year.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So we're hoping one day that the state will be fully educated, right? And people will know how to act when they go to a ramp and all kinds of stuff.
You still have to be 12 years old to be certified, and as in this year, we're looking at 26-year-olds.
Wow.
So we're getting up into that age where we're seeing the age of the people that are in accidents.
Well, I hope that's had something to do with the numbers dropping in recent years. I guess there's no way we would know that, is there?
Well, I'd love to attribute a low year to my education program.
I'm with you, Betsy. I think you did it all. All right. And you do your Wear It campaign, too.
We do.
Not everybody across the state knows what Wear It is, but a lot of folks do, and you've concentrated in some areas. What is Wear It?
The Wear It program is basically just an education about life jackets, the new life jackets that are available, that are lightweight, especially the inflatables, just showing people that they exist. And we started this program in 2008 with a lot of money. We had like for 3 years, we got a lot of money from the government to do this program.
The federal government.
Right, okay. From the Coast Guard. And we had people that loaned us boats, and we went out there because we had tons and tons of life jackets that we were able to buy, and we were able to do a lot of media buys with that money as well. And that money, of course, went away, so now it's all under my budget, so it's very lean right now. But we do have
not near as many state dollars, right?
Yeah. But we do have a dedicated boat to this program, and I'm still able to get a couple of interns. We have been concentrating in the Middle Tennessee area because it's just a better use of our time instead of traveling across the state. But seeing what I see from the results, our creel clerks are checking off whether the they check the fishermen, and they have a little thing on their little interview sheet that says are they wearing a life jacket or not. And we've seen an increase of life jacket wear rates. And if I could think of a way to take it across the state, there has to be somebody over that program, and it's very intense training for whoever's operating the boat, because they have to, we do the boat operation training, and they have to do maintenance, and then they have to tow the boat behind a truck, and so it's very labor intensive program.
Okay, and the Wear It campaign's not just original to Tennessee, isn't this a program that's nationwide?
It is nationwide. The states do it differently. I think just a couple of states do it like we do, actually give a life jacket away if they promise to wear it all the time and sign a pledge. But a lot of it's just awareness. We do wear your life jacket to work day, and a ready, set, inflate, or ready, set, wear it is a world record we try to reach every year. And that goes on. It's actually international, people using the Wear It program. So they do it in Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And
do other countries like the boat as much as we do?
Oh, yeah.
As Americans do.
Boat. Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, I know our director used to go to Italy some and teach them about it, but I've never been fishing over to Italy, so I wasn't sure about that.
Well, let's go.
I would love to. Let's talk to Ed and see what we can, Director Carter, see what we can do. All right. Where can folks find more information? You've told us a lot of stuff, but there's so much more we haven't talked about, Betsy. If they want to learn more about boating education and see what the mandatory age is again, and see where they can go take this 60 question test.
It is.
And yeah, you can challenge it, but unless you're probably going to fail unless you're really, really, really studied good at home, I guess. But what can they do? Where can they find more?
At our website for boaters, TWRA.org, and go for boaters, and it lists all the counties across the state that either the classroom classes that are given or where you can go take the exam. And we have self-study materials that we'll send to you. Just give us a call. Our number's on the website. and we'll send the book to you. It's easy.
Okay, all right. So go get your kids in it. Take it with you if you can. And is it still? It used to be we could tell adults that if they took the course or the class 2 and passed it, it might help them on insurance. Is that still a viable statement?
It is, and we challenge the parents that come with the kids to see if they can do better on the tests than their child can. So it kind of turns into a contest, and they get a certificate too, and they take that to the insurance company. All the courses we give are nationally approved, and recognized by the Coast Guard.
All right. Now I know there are different folks that teach it. And with our agency, I know some of our boating officers do and wildlife officers do. Alan Harold here in Middle Tennessee is great. He's been teaching a long time. But we have officers across the state that do it, or is it Coast Guard Auxiliary? Is it the Power Squadron? Who teaches these courses?
It's pretty much all of the above. We in Knoxville, we have the Bass Pro and Gander Mountain classes that go on twice a month. We have one of our officers, Dustin Buttram, and around Center Hill and Dale Hall area. He teaches every weekend at one of the marinas up there.
That's awesome.
He's just tearing it up there.
Yeah.
So
if you go on our website, you can find out where some of this is going on, and then it's a lot of the tests themselves can be found at libraries. Is that still so? Some
of the libraries are testing. They're listed on our website, and most of them you have to make an appointment to do so. We just got 2 actually in the Davidson County area that are helping us. The Hermitage Branch Library.
It's the Nashville area,
and,
right? Okay.
Bellevue.
And Bellevue.
Which is a great help for Davidson County because we really didn't have any testing centers in the county before them.
Okay. So. And then a few questions on the U.S. Coast Guard. Not that you've worked for them but apparently they're very important toward the boating world. And they're recognized for doing a lot of stuff, being from World War II to everything else. The Coast Guard has been there, but they are important on the water. And does our agency work with them weekly or monthly? Do we report to them? Do we go meetings with them when they're making decisions on life jackets? What's our involvement with the U.S. Coast Guard?
Well, everybody in the Boating Law Enforcement Division our investigators, the educators, and our BLA, who's Darren, we all attend conferences that the Coast Guard attends, and we serve on committees, national committees together, and that we don't make the final decision. There's a advisory council to the Coast Guard that is made up of some state people and BLAs and
BLAs, boat law administrators.
Correct, okay. And the industry and their group they are the people that advise the Coast Guard on these decisions that they make. As far as locally in Tennessee, we work with the Coast Guard on special event permits on the water. Any event on the water has to have a marine permit, and so we work with the local Coast Guard on that.
Okay, and anybody else that we work on a national or international level with to help create laws that we use in Tennessee?
The National Association of State Boating Law Administrators is our professional organization. It has the committees, and a lot of these committees will produce documents and work that we can take to the Coast Guard or take to the Boating Safety Advisory Council, who's the advisory council to the Coast Guard, and get things started in that direction.
Do we have some laws here that are just Tennessee specific versus the 12 and under law or under 13 law for kids? Is that from the Coast Guard or is that Tennessee?
It is a federal Coast Guard requirement, but and we adopted that. There are some states that have not.
Okay, so it's not mandatory necessarily.
Not everywhere. No, there are some state-specific laws. Some of the personal watercraft laws, like the jumping within 100 feet, immediate 100 feet of a vessel, that's a state law. Of course, our education law is a state law. There are some state, and on our exams that we give, we're about over.
We are?
There are 10 state-specific questions that are just state-specific on all the exams in every state you'll go to.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of information. And once again, you got to go to the website to learn more. Betsy, you know a lot of stuff, and you've done a great job through the years trying to make people be safe on a great lake, a great state to go boating in with all the lakes.
Well, thanks.
You do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And I will wear my life jacket always. I will.
Better. Oh, I don't care if you don't. You can go,
I heard that already. Well, that was before we started, but it was interesting. Anyway, Jason, what do you need to tell them?
You can see this show and listen to this show at tnwildlife.org. Thanks for joining us this week, and come back and and see and hear future shows and
We
past
got
shows.
a ton of great shows still out there, and a lot more to come with folks like Betsy. Todd, thank you as always for your work. Jason, thank you for your work.
Thank you,
And we'll
Doug.
see you next week with a new show.